Hi, Roomies. Welcome to the dollhouse. I'm your dolly now. Don't touch anything. We've got some dolly mail, so let's see what's inside. So today's dolly mail is a bit more of a sensitive topic. A woman explains the story of her mother trying to unalive her at the age of 10 years old. This is her story.
So this was Christmas Day of 2006, and I was 10 years old. So I had a phone call with my mom the night before, or the morning of. We had just celebrated Christmas, and I let her know that I gifted a trip to Disneyland, and I was so excited to go. I remember her emotions instantly shifting, and back then, which I didn't realize at the time, I was super aware or hyper aware of her emotion shifting, and that kind of shifted my emotions with her. I remember feeling guilty that I had been gifted this trip to Disneyland.
This is the first part that broke my heart because no child should make themselves feel small for an adult.
Then I fly to my mom's house. We lived 2.5 hours away. So when I flew into SeaTac, we actually had a 2.5 hour drive. So I remember her asking a lot of questions. Like, I was obviously so excited to see her. I ran in her arms like she was my safe place, which is part of the story that is kind of crazy. Up until that point, I did not understand her addiction. I did not understand the depths of what she was going through mental health wise. I didn't understand that a lot of things in my household were not normal. It was not normal for me to be getting out her pills. It was not normal for me to be almost truant because of how many tardy and absences I had at 9, 10 years old because she was unable to even get out the door to take me to school. It was not normal for me to be getting myself ready, to be eating meals and changing every diaper of my little sisters, and I was only 9, 10 years old. That was not normal, but at the time, that wasn't on my radar. Anyway, nonetheless, we're driving back. She's asking me lots of questions. I'm already on edge and like drilling me with these questions. How is that your dad's? How is your stepmom? How is all this and this and this and this? And again, at the time, I didn't realize that she was trying to dig for information. I was just an open book. I told my mom everything. I was a little bit nervous, actually, because of managing her emotions of how I answered, but I still was very, very honest and very transparent about the things that happened. Anyway, so I started to develop this toothache, and I remember it clearly. The reason I had the toothache is because I had not gone to a scheduled dentist appointment, and I don't even know how long I was to get like a root canal or something on one of these teeth, or even it pulled, and she hadn't taken me. So I would get these toothaches regularly. So I knew that it wasn't that big of a deal, but I remember it hurting really, really bad. But again, I was a kid. I didn't like to take medicine. My mom had so much medicine in our house. I think we had 3 cabinets full of medicine from her. And I didn't trust doctors already because she would always use her addiction covered in mommy's sick. Doctors are going to figure out what's wrong. And I would see these panic attacks and she would have to go into the hospital. And so I did not like medicine. I did not like the doctor. I didn't like anything medical because I felt like they were failing my mother. And so why would I want to take them? So she was like, well, we'll just get medicine when we get to the house. So 2.5 hours pass by. We go to the house. I remember just being really tired. I had a long travel day. It had been hours. I went to the staircase and I plopped my suitcase on the staircase and I got my brand new cheetah print pajamas on. I was so excited to just be home and to share Christmas with my siblings the next day with my mom. It just felt like I was in the right place, even though I had no idea that I was living in chaos. So my mom, she was like, just go to bed. And at this time, I co-slept with my mom, even though I was 10 years old, co-sleeping with her from the very beginning. So I got in our bed is what I called it. And she was like, get in our bed. I'll be in there shortly. So I put on a movie and I started to doze in and out, in and out. I realized my mom wasn't coming in. So I was like, that's weird. Started getting like a little bit of anxiety and I would always check on her. I'd always make sure that she was okay wherever she was. So I snuck into the bathroom and I asked her, are you okay? Are you okay? And I guess just go back in bed. So I went back in bed. I thought I remember her on the phone. And to this day, I still don't know who she was on the phone with. That's a little eerie. So then woke back up. I went and like crept through the hallway. She was on our family computer. She was typing something and she got increasingly angry when she found out that I was peeking. I saw 2 glasses on the counter and I could tell that there was liquid in it. but I couldn't tell. It just kind of looked like water. And she was like, McKenna, get back into your room right now. She didn't want to be in there. So I was already like very anxious. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to bed. I'm like, I don't have a toothache anymore. I don't need medicine. I'm just going to go to bed. So I go back into our room and I fall asleep. I then wake up to her like gently shaking me. Like, McKenna, get up. You need to take your medicine. What happened next, as a mother, I cannot fathom. Our children rely on us and trust us through the deepest levels of their soul. When I told my mom that I didn't want the medicine or didn't need the medicine, she pushed. When I tasted a little bit, it was like the film on a pill when it dissolves on your tongue just a little bit. That taste will forever be etched in my mind. It was the most disgusting taste. To this day, I don't like taking medicine because film powder taste that you have on your tongue, I had that times 1,000. It was so intense, so disgusting. I remember taking a sip and being like, Mom, I don't like that. I didn't even like taking Motrin or Tylenol or like a kid's like vitamin, let alone this mixture. I looked down in the glass, I could see little floating things in the glass and it was clear. I just remember, I don't want to drink this. I don't want to drink this. And my mom kept pushing and pushing. McKenna, you need to take it. You need to take it. You need to drink the whole thing. There cannot be anything left. I didn't realize that she had put 50 to 100 benzodiazepines in that drink for my 10-year-old self to consume. She knew that I was taking that amount of medicine when she forced me and I declined. And she forced again and I declined. And she said, you have to drink every single drop of that. I had no idea. I had the blind, loving trust of a daughter and a child that my mom was going to do what was best for me and had my best interest at heart and my care in her heart. But no, she had every intention of me dying that night. So she added that Capri Sun into the drink to make it taste better for me, and knowing with every sip that I was consuming something that would be lethal for me. Poisoning her own daughter. And I did. I drank it. I drank it because I trusted my mom. I drank it because she was my home. And I drank it because she was the one person in my life who was there for me whenever I needed her and who was supposed to take care of me. And I trusted that. I had that blind faith in my mother because she was my home. After that drink, I don't remember anything else except for my next memory, waking up in this huge, giant white room with my dad next to me, which I knew I had just left my dad in Idaho, so I didn't understand how I was waking up with my dad next to me. And then I looked down at my hands and I had all of these IVs. I was hooked up to so many machines. I was looking around, I was in a hospital bed. But the last memory I had was laying my head on a pillow in my mom and I's bed. Comment if you guys want to hear a more in-depth part 2 from what happened after I woke up in a coma, in the hospital room, in foster care, testifying against my mom when I was 12 years old, her being sentenced to prison, me going and living with my dad, who was also active in his addiction after the sentencing, and then later my emancipation. If you want to hear all the goods, comment and I will share, especially within the new perspective of being a mom myself.
This story is incredibly hard to listen to and terribly sad. This child was failed by everyone in her life. I really appreciate this woman for sharing her story so that hopefully more people can recognize when children are in dangerous situations and we can prevent these types of things from happening. Her mother, to me, sounds like a complete narcissist for not taking her daughter to the dentist and letting her sit in pain and for prying information from her.
Just to recap, I woke up in a hospital room that was huge and it was completely white and my dad was sitting there holding my hand. And I remember looking at him, looking at all the IVs in my hands and just wondering what in the world happened. I was still so confused. I'd just fallen asleep in my mom's room and now I'm in a completely different place and my dad's here and he was just sobbing and I can't remember the exact words he said, but I just remember him saying like, "Hi, it's daddy, like everything's gonna be okay." And then I looked to my right and I noticed that there was police officers guarding the room of the hospital. I thought was, oh my goodness, the medicine that my mom gave me must have been expired. It must have been bad to make me so sick. I wake up and I'm instantly defending my mom and I'm asking, where's my mom? Where's my mom? The first thing and the only thing that was on my mind was I'm supposed to have Christmas morning with my brother, my sister, and my mom. Like, I have to get home. That's all that I could comprehend. I had no idea the severity of the fact that my mom just tried to murder me. I didn't even know where I was. I didn't know how I got to the hospital, why I was in the hospital, how long I had been there. And I don't even remember the exact moment that I did find out, but I do remember a detective coming in and saying, McKenna, we have to ask you a couple of questions. I don't remember that exact conversation, but we had it. And then my dad had to leave the room, and I was so confused on why he had to leave the room. Because of some allegations made, the cops had to assist and basically watch over any visitation that anyone had with me. So my dad could only see me in short increments. So when I woke up and they were trying to, make sure that I was stable and try to check my condition, and then the detective immediately came and interviewed me, forensic interview, right in the hospital itself. That was conducted. I had to be alone. I had to sit in the hospital room alone, confused, scared. I was 10 years old. I had no idea what had just happened. And I just kept asking, like, where's my mom? Where's my mom? We're supposed to have Christmas. Where's my sister? Where's my brother? I had a social worker that actually would come in and spend some time with me. So she gave me like a coloring book and some coloring pads, some crayons so that I could just kind of draw and keep my attention while I was waiting. They were trying to figure out what to do. And I finally asked, like, where am I? And they said Seattle, which I knew I had just driven from the night before. I'm like, I just drove from Seattle. Why am I in Seattle? How did I get here? Well, I didn't know this at the time, but my mom actually was the one to call 911. After I fell asleep, it had been hours after that, and she noticed I was having trouble breathing. So she ended up calling 911 out of her manic state and asking for medical help for me. The part of the story that gets really hard for me, because this is where my mom tries to defend herself and say, I saved my daughter's life. There was numerous times when she was in jail and when she was waiting and when she had the defense team that it was, I saved my daughter's life, because she called 911 when she came out of her manic. However, she was the one who gave me the medication to take my life in the first place. So you can't be the one who pulls the trigger and then says, oh, but I called the cops. It's kind of like this weird savior mentality that she wanted. I don't know. I'm still trying to process that. Nonetheless, she was the one who called 911. Have that 911 call. I have posted it before, but I can post it again if you guys want, so comment below. But she called 911 and just said, I gave my daughter pills. She didn't know she took them. Please come here. So when the ambulance actually came to our house, they realized that I wasn't breathing. I have photos of that night that I can also repost as well. I think it was my right arm was completely red, swollen. I was losing blood flow. I had white stuff coming out of my mouth. They said I was so close to losing my life. So they rushed me in the ambulance to the local hospital, but the local hospital didn't have the tools or the people to save me. So they ended up life flighting me from Los Angeles Hospital to the Seattle Children's Hospital, where I was able to get better care. Found out that and this is much later that I found out, but I had 3 Narcan reversals. From what I have heard and the knowledge that people tell me is that if you have a DRUG overdose, you're typically given 1 and that will save you. My 10-year-old body had 3. It was only then when I was stable and in my coma, and they didn't know if I was going to make it out, much less when I made it out. They had no idea what the ramifications of not only the drugs, but the drug reversals and everything else and all the intervention. They didn't know what that would do to my little body. Was I going to be brain dead? Was I going to have, severe internal issues? Like, they had no idea. So when I woke up, I was completely healthy. This is the part that still makes me emotional, because I look at her being a mom now. And like, when I look back on these memories, it's disassociation. So when I retell my story, I don't see myself in my body. I see myself above my body.
which my therapist has basically told me is just a way of you dissociating from the actual event. So I have done like EMDR therapy to like try to put myself back in that and like reprocess those memories. I haven't done it enough, so I am still working through that. When I'm looking down at like my little body, I just can't imagine the miracle that my life is and the way that God saved me, because I shouldn't have made it. Not only that, but there would have been serious ramifications medically, internally, with my brain. Anything could have been wrong with me, and there was nothing physically wrong with me. Of course, I've dealt with PTSD and trauma and working through that. Nothing physically medically was wrong with me. I can only imagine what my dad and my family was thinking, because I look at her and I see how precious and how innocent she is. It's only when I put myself in myself again, in those memories, when I realize how horrible and how heartbreaking that is. But again, I'm so little. I have no idea. I have full trust in my mom. I'm like, I'm gonna set this straight. I'm gonna make sure that they know that whatever medicine my mom gave me, it must have been expired, because something's wrong here. Like, when can I see my mom? I don't remember how much time had passed for the social worker came in and told me, you're going to be released. You're going to go back to Port Angeles. And then she told me, you can't go with your parents. You won't be seeing your mom. She just kept delaying that. It's going to be a while till you see your mom. It's going to be a while till you see your mom. And you can't go with your dad. Here I am, a 10-year-old, like, okay, well, where am I going to go? So she passes over this big black trash can, which is, I guess, I don't know if this still is the case this many years later, but that was the standard procedure for any child who didn't have clothes or didn't have a bag packed for them to leave the hospital. I got a black trash bag of clothes to pick through, and they weren't my size. They weren't girl clothes. I think I picked like a pair of sweatpants that were 3 times the size of me and like an oversized sweatshirt or shirt. And that's all that I had to leave with. And I was leaving the hospital to go to a foster family. So I had to get into this car with this stranger, this caseworker, and drive 2.5 hours to Port Angeles to a house of people I had no idea who they were. And nobody would tell me what was going on. I had no idea. I had no idea where my mom was. I had no idea why I couldn't go with my dad. No one was giving me answers. Get in the car with her with these clothes that don't fit, so uncomfortable, just sobbing because I couldn't be with my family. And then I started to have a full mental breakdown. If you want a part 3, comment below and I'll continue talking about what it was like transitioning to a foster family, where I went after that.
This is honestly so disturbing. The idea of being a child suddenly stuck in a hospital and treated like you don't even matter, forced to dig through trash, separated from everything familiar and handed off to strangers, it's beyond unsettling. At 10, after already going through something that traumatic, I can only imagine how terrifying and confusing that must have been. She deserved much more care, safety, and compassion.
Where they were going to decide basically where I go from here. I was living in Washington. Was I going to go with my dad? Who was I going to go with? And me actually figuring out something is horribly, horribly wrong. So I get in the car with my social worker and I am basically kicking and screaming. I end up having a full-on mental breakdown. I remember screaming at her, where is my mom? I was so sick of people not telling me and putting it off. Like, I can't tell you, you'll find out soon enough. I have always been a little stubborn and a little outspoken. I remember like freaking out, screaming, kicking, crying. I was in the passenger seat of her car. We have a 2.5 hour drive back to Port Angeles and I am screaming at the top of my lungs because this is, first of all, a stranger. Like, if I can't even trust my mom, which I didn't know it at the time, but like, I am put in this car with this person I don't know to drive for 2.5 hours at 10 years old when my whole world just got flipped upside down. We finally get into Port Angeles and I don't remember the exact series of events. The days kind of all mixed together, but I remember pulling up to the foster family's house and they were Filipino, I believe. We're a completely different culture. I was in culture shock. They had birds flying around, cooked a specific type of food that I was definitely not used to. I walked into their house. I instantly felt just uncomfortable, tense. I wanted to go straight to the room. I still remember the layout of the house. The kitchen, it was kind of like an open concept, and then there was a bedroom. You walk down the hall and to the left, and that was the bedroom that I stayed in. At this point, I did have a suitcase of my stuff, like a small one. I don't know if they were able to go and get it from the crime scene. They gathered some for me. My dad brought some, I'm not sure, but I did end up having some. So I remember changing and just sitting on the bed and just crying and crying and crying. I know that they were so helpful and so willing, and they just wanted to like be there to help me, but I wanted absolutely nothing to do with them. I just wanted my parents. I just wanted my family. It was such a culture shock. It was about to be New Year's, and I remember asking them, like, do you watch the ball drop? Because that was something we always did every year, and they didn't even have the ability to watch it on TV. So I just remember thinking, my whole world has been flipped upside down. Everything I know, I'm in this strange place with these strange people. Everything felt uncomfortable. All I wanted to do was just cry. The social worker ended up saying, come pick you up tomorrow and you can come see your brother for his birthday, because my brother's birthday is on January 1st. I was so excited for that. I remember just thinking, finally I get to see some family. I didn't want to miss his birthday. I'd been waiting and so anticipatory of seeing my brother and my sister. It had been so long since I was with my dad for the first week of Christmas break. I hadn't seen them in so long. So she picks me up and she takes me to my brother's house, and I wasn't able to see anybody else. I don't know if they had to pull strings for this to happen or what, but I remember my brother was sitting on the stairs just waiting. Everybody else, they were having this huge birthday upstairs, because I think he had just turned 18. I think that was his 18th birthday, but we had to meet separately and secretly downstairs, and I think his dad had like a split level. So I see him, and my brother never cried, never seen him cry, never seen him emotional, never anything. He's 8 years older than me, so there's a drastic age difference. I ran into his arms, and that's like the one of 2 times I've ever seen him cry, and he just held me and he sobbed and he sobbed and he sobbed. And I don't remember if he really said any words or said anything, but I just remember him crying and holding me and telling me that he loved me. And he showed me, he's like, we have your presents over here. You can open some if you want. And I don't know how they got the presents there from our house or the crime scene, but they did. And that was so special. I will never forget that. You know, I was so worried. I just was a little girl who wanted Christmas morning. And they were able to give me that with at least my brother. I couldn't see my sister at the time. She was 2, but at least I got my brother and I got to open the gifts with him. And that moment, that kind of made everything else feel small. And that sounds so wild and so crazy because, you know, when you're looking at it, hindsight, there were so many other things around me in my crazy world, but I was just a kid. I was just a kid who wanted to celebrate Christmas with her family, with her parents, with her brother. At least I got my brother with that. So then after I opened my gifts, I had to go back to the foster family. I think every time I had to transition somewhere, it was kicking and screaming. It was gnashing of the teeth, basically. I did not want to go. I think I just found it I found that strength, and God gave me that strength in those moments to just get it through. Like sometimes when you go through things, you don't really have a choice. And at the end of yourself, that's where God comes in, and He is the one who's able to give you that strength, to give you the extra when you don't have it. In that moment, that's what was instilled in me. And since then, obviously years and years later, I've grown and grown and grown and stretched as I've gone through more adversity and hard times. But that is the only way that I was able to get through these moments, because the pain and the discomfort and heartbreak and the betrayal of that entire week, I mean, one of the worst weeks of my life, was given a strength like I didn't know before, and I was only 10 years old. Back to the foster family, and I just waited. I waited to hear the verdict. I waited to hear, okay, well, where was I gonna go? When could I see my dad? Again, at some time within this timeline, the social worker took me to the police department so that I could do a child forensic interview, which I do have that child forensic interview. I've shared it really long ago, so if you guys want me to post that again, comment below and I'll repost it so we can have it in this whole series as well. I have the entire police child forensic video. It's so crazy seeing it now too, because there are bits and pieces that I remember, but I don't remember it in its entirety. And so the whole time I'm sitting there and I'm just a kid. I'm cool, calm, collected. It doesn't look like I have processed anything that has just happened. I'm just like, cut to the chase. I want to ask you some questions. Where is my mom and why can't I see her? And I'm going to tell you what happened. Like, I was telling the officers, this was bad medicine. You guys have it all wrong. Where's my mom? Can I see her? I still had no concept like how deep my trust in my mom was.
I really do appreciate good foster parents, and even though that situation wasn't ideal, it seems like they gave her a sense of safety, and I'm grateful for that. The moment with her brother, them hugging, that honestly got me so emotional. I'm really glad she had him for that moment, and it doesn't surprise me at all that she still defended her mom. That's such a heavy, complicated reality for a child to process. Accepting that someone who's supposed to love you could also hurt you, it's not easy. Especially when that person is your own parent. And some forms of abuse are a lot harder to recognize than others. Unfortunately, the way that her mother was treating her was very low key. A child who hasn't seen the way that she's supposed to be living is probably not going to recognize when things are out of order.
Right now, I want to talk about the moment that I realized I was never going home. I was placed back into foster care because they were still deliberating on who would get custody of me. My dad and some of my dad's side of the family actually flew into Seattle. So when I was transferred to Port Angeles, they also made the drive to Port Angeles, and they were working with the court in the back end of custody of me. My mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family were both trying to figure out where I was going to go. A lot of people from my mom's side of the family tried to get custody of me, but because there was obviously the link with my mom, despite their best efforts in trying to keep me in the town that I was in and trying to create a safe space for me, ultimately the courts ruled that my dad would get custody. Here's the thing. My dad was not in a place where he was able to actually care for me. My dad was so heavy in his addiction at this time, which he was also addicted to opioids. I didn't actually end up living with him. I ended up living with family members on my dad's side. At the time, that was the best situation for me. It was a stable home. People don't understand is that uprooting your entire life, I had no autonomy, I had no say, I had no idea what was going on still. I still didn't understand the concept that I wasn't ever going to see my mom again. I was just told, okay, you're gonna go live with your dad now. You're gonna go live in Idaho. You're not living with your dad, you're living with your aunt and uncle. So I was processing all of these things, or I was expected to process all of these things without the ability to actually understand the full picture. Just told, this is what you're gonna do, this is what you're gonna do, this is what you're gonna do. Next thing that I remember is big breakfast that was basically like a send-off breakfast. I don't remember if my sister was there or not, if I was able to say goodbye to her. I can't remember at all. I remember my brother being there, and then grandma was there, and basically left to just, okay, we're gonna have this big breakfast at this restaurant, and then you're going to get on a plane and you're going to fly to Idaho, and you're never gonna see this side of the family for the foreseeable future. This was all I'd ever known. All I'd ever known was living with my mom full time. All I'd ever known was being around my family, my aunts, my uncles, my grandmother. My grandmother was my best friend. She still is to this day. I've been so close with my sister. I'd basically been her caregiver. My brother was mine. So all of a sudden I was just supposed to get on this plane, uproot my whole life, and I wasn't even able to go and get my things. I wasn't even able to go into the house. Obviously it was a crime scene, but I couldn't even say goodbye to any of my friends. These friends that I had grown up with for many, many years. Because it was in the middle of Christmas break, it was like I left for Christmas break, and then this event happened. And then when I got back from Christmas break on a flight to go to a completely different state, in a completely different household with a completely different set of parents that were going to look after me, starting a brand new school with brand new people, brand new curriculum. Like, I was starting my entire life flipped upside down. And here you go. Here's school. here's life now. I am so grateful that there are people in my life who have stepped up and who have helped me in ways that I couldn't ever imagine. As a child, and they didn't have to do that, but they stepped up in ways I'll be forever grateful for. But that doesn't negate the fact that that was so incredibly traumatic for me. I just remember being so incredibly sad leaving my life, incredibly confused at the same time. This is when the narrative started, your mom's sick, your mom gave you bad medicine, and you're not going to be able to see her for a while. That's the narrative that I understood for quite a bit. When I got to Idaho, I started school just like a normal kid, and I was just thrown into life. I didn't tell anyone at my school, and actually for a majority of my life, I had never shared this story. I didn't talk to my friends. There's people who cheered with me for years and years and years, people who were classmates of mine for many years, and they never knew my story. They had no idea what was going on because for the longest time, I didn't understand what was going on, and I still held on to that hope. When I started school, I would save all of my papers for my mom in this folder that I kept in my closet. And I would sit there and I would write letters to her. Like, Mama, I know you're missing this, but I got a straight A. Mama, I know. And that's when the perfectionism and yeah, Mama, and the need to succeed kind of started because I just wanted to prove. I wanted to prove my worth. I wanted to prove what I was doing, and I wanted to hold on to that. I would sit in my bed, would pray, and I would just ask God, like, please keep my mom safe. Please help my mom. Then it sank in. It was, I'm not going home. It wasn't so much that this is my home now, because that felt so uncomfortable, but it was, this is my new life. And this is what survival looks like. So what do you have to do to get through? And of course, I had amazing blessings in my life at that time to do so many things for my aunt and uncle, and we had a stable home, but when you're in somebody else's home, it never truly feels like home to you. You still feel like a stranger. You still feel uncomfortable to go get a snack out of the fridge, and that's at no fault to anyone else, but it's just not yours. It's not your mom. It's not your dad. It's not your safety. And even then, what was safety to me? That was kind of the start of stable instability that was happening inside of me, and that I had to start navigating now that my whole world had flipped upside down, and that contact with all of my family in Washington was nothing. I had no contact with them. Maybe a couple phone calls here and there every few months, but I don't even remember the frequency of them, and it still felt like such a detachment. Like I had to detach. This was Washington McKenna, and now this is Idaho McKenna. And whatever what was, you just have to put one foot in front of the other and start to build a life here, because this is what's new and this is what's normal.
It's really scary when you're suddenly expected to live full-time with a dad who's struggling with addiction. It's just a heavy, unstable kind of change to process. And then being moved again to our aunt and uncle, it's like constant uprooting. I understand the feeling of losing attachments to people you care about deeply and how painful that is. The line about not feeling at home in your own home after finally feeling safe somewhere else, that felt very real. As someone who was in foster care, I still relate to that ongoing search for safety, stability, and the kind of love that actually feels secure and consistent.
You and Mom, did Mom say anything at all to you other than for you to take that drink? Did she say anything at all?
Said, you should go get your jammies on and we can watch Nanny McPhee.
Okay. And then when she handed you the drink, she made the comment that she made.
Yeah, she said, drink it, and I said I didn't like it, and she said, you have to drink it to feel better.
Okay. Did you see Mom drinking anything? Okay. Go ahead.
But I have a question. Will I be able to know where my mom's at?
Well, you're kind of catching me off guard. We'll talk a little bit once we're done, and I'll try and answer as many questions as I can for you, okay? Know whether or not there's any kind of alcohol in the house, and when I say alcohol, I mean like beer or a adult drinks, that kind of stuff? Do you know if there's anything like that in the house?
No, there isn't. There might have been one, but that's, my mom doesn't drink because that makes her sick.
Okay.
And that would probably be for Rod.
Okay.
But I do remember having something to eat. I remember having ice cream.
Okay. Was that before you drank?
No, it was, oh yeah, it was before.
Okay. Do you remember what kind of ice cream it was?
It was cookie dough ice cream.
Cookie dough ice cream.
I
Whoa.
love cookie dough.
Did you get that yourself, or did your mom
Yes,
get that? Okay.
I got that.
Okay. And did you get that from the freezer in the house, or was there somewhere else you had to go get that from?
The freezer in the house.
Okay. And you made your own bowl of ice cream. Okay. Was that? Let me see if I can. Was that during the time that you were watching Nanny McPhee that you had the ice cream then? Okay. Okay. And how did you feel when you got home? Was everything okay other than?
Well, just my tooth hurt. That's all. It was hurting real bad, and I thought something cold would make it feel a little better.
Okay, so that's why you had ice cream? Plus, cookie dough ice cream's pretty good anyhow?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let me ask you a question about the house. We talked a little bit about the house in regards to where the rooms are at and who has their own room. Does her own room at the house?
Well, she likes my room, and so we decided to move her bed into my room, but her toys and stuff are in her room.
So she's got the best of both worlds. She's got toys in one room and a bed in the other room.
Yeah.
And she gets both rooms.
Yeah, she likes to play in my room. She brings all of her toys into my room
Okay.
when I'm in there.
Okay. She a pretty good little sister? Okay.
Yes, she does.
Okay. And mom, does she have her own room?
Yes, she does.
Okay. So everybody at the house has their own room. And you guys, when you arrived home, did you come in through the front door or did you come in through the back door?
Well, my mom had to go to the back.
I feel so bad for her. She was so innocent in all of this, and what makes it even more heartbreaking is that the one person she naturally wanted comfort and safety from is the person that's tied to everything that happened.
Okay. All right.
I don't want to be in a foster family. I want to be with my dad,
Okay.
and I don't feel comfortable with the foster family.
Okay. Okay. Well, sweetie, what we're gonna do is try and make the best decision that we possibly can in a quick,
I knew that was
timely
gonna
thing that we
happen.
can. What's that?
I knew that you were gonna say that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't
Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Heard that a little bit from a few people before.
It. You know
I'm
that.
not gonna be able to stay with my dad for a while.
Well.
I'm gonna have to stay with the foster family for a long time.
Well, the thing is that we don't know, and I'm not going to tell you that you're going to have to stay with a foster family for a long time, and I'm not going to say that you're not going to be able to stay with your dad, you know, within the next week or two, because I don't have an answer for you. But what I can say is that whatever is the decision, it's basically what's best for you. Okay, and if that means if that means going to your dad's, then that's what's going to happen.
Well,
and
he's here in Port Angeles.
Okay, well, I'm not the one that makes that decision. Okay.
He's here, and I wish Dee would know that
Okay.
I wish I would rather go with him.
McKenna, you can always tell Dee Dee whatever you want, and she will listen to your opinion in regards to what you want to share. Okay. Now, everybody wants to look out for the best interest of you. You know how long that takes to make sure that we're making the right decision? It takes a little while for us to do that. And the reason being is that we want to make sure that this is the best decision available. We don't want to put you in a place where you feel uncomfortable or that you don't feel happy or that you're going to be sad.
I feel
Okay.
uncomfortable. I feel sad.
Okay,
And
then
everything in the foster home.
okay, then what I would suggest is that you mention that to Dee Dee and make sure she's aware of what you feel.
But I probably still have to stay tonight and
Okay.
not go in the hotel with my dad.
Okay. And how comfortable do you feel in talking with Dee Dee?
I feel comfortable, but
Okay.
she's probably gonna say no.
Well, she has a tough job, and it's probably one of the tougher jobs around. And that job, along with us, is to protect kids. And her job is to make sure that wherever she puts you, you're going to be safe. And so she's got to check this place forward, backward, upside down, rearrange, and everything else, and make sure that everything's okay for you to go where you need to go. Okay? It's
She's gonna say no when I tell her.
McKenna, you know what? You're going to have to just tell her what you want to tell her and then wait to see what her decision is. Okay?
And then when you hear what her decision is, you're gonna have to abide by that until it changes, okay?
Yeah.
But you gotta understand that everybody here has your best interest in the front of their mind, and that's what they're trying to deal with. And it's hard to be patient with that, but that's what needs to happen. You gotta have all the strength you have inside you to deal with this, and we're using all the strength we have to try and get you where you want to be, and hopefully those two things will come together as quickly as possible. But you got to be patient with this, and you gotta help us by being as strong as you can.
Okay, one question that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my mom?
Okay. She's in Port Angeles. I can tell you that. Okay. And that's about all I can tell you.
Why?
Okay. Well, right now we're trying to do what we can in regards to finding out things that happen, and that's all I can really tell you. Okay.
Did
That's
you
it.
place her somewhere?
Sudi, I can't tell you anything more than what I just did. Okay. If I could, I would. Okay. And you're gonna. I know it's hard to wait for an answer, but you're gonna have to wait for an answer. Okay. You're a very strong young girl, and you're a very smart young girl, and it's going to take some time for us to do our job and for someone to talk with you. But you know, at some point in time, that'll happen. Okay. You have any other questions for me?
How's your fruit?
Good.
Right on.
I
It
like-
looks good.
I like blueberries. Those are my favorite.
You
when
got
I
a
was
little bit of
boy.
everything in there, don't you?
That was my favorite when I was a little boy. Going blueberry picking with my mom, and
You like blueberries?
not doing a whole lot of blueberry picking. It was more or less just shoving them in my mouth.
Blueberry eating. What's a blueberry eating trick?
Yeah, it was the same way with raspberries and strawberries too. Okay,
Where are we at?
we're gonna go. I'm gonna go get Dee Dee real quick. She's gonna come in here. I'm gonna clean up what we got
I
going
go to
on.
the bathroom.
You gotta go use the restroom. Okay, let's head on out there, and I'll point you in the direction of the restroom.
No, I think I'm gonna ask you first before I go to the bathroom.
Oh, you probably need to go to the bathroom first, don't you?
Mhm.
Okay, let's see where we're at. I have you sign and date this picture that you drew it. Is that all right by you?
I am devastated hearing her cry. She should have never had to go through that in the first place. I do appreciate that the detective tried to comfort her and be honest with her in a gentle way, but in moments like that, it feels like there's really nothing anyone can do or say to undo the pain or make it make sense. It's just so heavy and unfair.
Years after that, I had to testify against her at her trial. And this is exactly what happened. If you don't know, the trials actually 2 years is a realistic timeline for someone to be booked into jail and then go on trial.
2 years is an insane amount of time for a child to have to go through a trial.
This time period, it switched from me being in 4th grade, fast forward to me being in 6th grade. A lot happened in that time frame. Oh! Maybe I can put her down so she can play. Okay, so like I said, a lot happened in that 2-year time frame. Living with an aunt and uncle, so living with my dad at the time, showed that he was a year sober, and then he got remarried to his 4th wife, and we ended up all moving in like one big happy family. Spoiler alert, that doesn't last. Nonetheless, that was a really good year. So then going into 6th grade year, my dad's sober, we're in a new house, I'm in a new district, I'm at a new middle school, making friends, finding my normalcy, and kind of at that point coming to terms with getting older and understanding that my mom had tried to murder. I still was very hesitant of really telling anyone. I had told one person, and this person ended up actually spreading the lie that I was making this up for attention. And that was when I instantly pulled back and I'm like, I'm not telling anybody. I'm just going to survive. I'm basically just going to, this is my life. I don't have my mom. She lives in Washington. That's that. And that's all really anybody ever knew. Then we got the subpoena. I was subpoenaed to court to testify against my mother. Mind you, the last time that I had seen my mother was when I drank the rest of the medicine and put my head on the pillow to go to bed. So I had not had any contact with her up until this point. I really didn't know much about her other than things that my dad had said or that were filtered that he would say to me. I still loved her, and I still had the hope that one day I could get the answers that I wanted or that I yearned for about why she did this. But anyway, middle of 6th grade, I was subpoenaed and I was told that I had to go testify, trying to just go over and over like exactly what I remembered and making sure my memory was in tip-top shape, because to make sure that whatever they asked me, that I just retold the story exactly how it was. And obviously that wasn't at the forefront of my mind. Like I was just trying to also be a middle school kid. So kind of reliving that was like bringing it all to the surface. And I had only done a few sessions of therapy. I think when I was in the 4th grade and I transitioned to my aunt and uncle, I had gone, I think it was like once a week or something. My aunt would take me out of lunch and we would go. Basically, the therapist was like, no, she gets it. Her mom wasn't trying to hurt her. Like, she's okay. She's fine. Let's go. But that was me masking. That was me being the person who's always like, everything's fine, all good. I can comprehend things. Let's move on. My brain had not caught up to that yet. And I am still catching up to that. We get on a flight, my dad, my stepmother, and I, and we fly to Port Angeles for the trial. I wasn't able to actually sit in on any pieces of the trial. I had a court-appointed advocate that basically sat with me in a back room and prepped me for what was going to happen so that I could have, an advocate there kind of trying to make me more comfortable. But they basically make me sit there and wait. And then I think it was a deputy basically said, okay, it's your time to go. We're going to escort you into the courtroom. So I entered from this back side door, and I walked up, and like, you're basically on a podium at this point when you're sitting there. The judge is to my left. I'm about to sit here. You have the recorder, the person who like types, she's right in front of me. And then I have an entire courtroom. I have the defense and my mother, and then the prosecution to my right. And I walk in there and I instantly see her. I got like full body chills because I was so scared at that point. The fact that I realized, oh, this wasn't just bad medicine. My mom tried to kill me. I had so many questions, but I was actually fearful of her and I didn't want to see her. It sent my body into a full-blown panic attack. My body expresses that fear and that panic and anxiety in full-blown shaking. So I sat down and I'm just shaking like this. I think the whole time is what it felt like to me. And then the defense started in. Prosecution and the defense both got to examine me. So I think the prosecution went first from what I remember. So they're just trying to build my credibility on the stand as the key witness, the victim, obviously the only other person that was there, and all of the events that followed. Since it had been 2 years, obviously my memory wasn't the best, and like I was still trying to collect everything in the best way possible. Well, then the defense chimes in. And if you've ever, ever watched a video or seen anything, the defense is, how should I say this? Vicious? You'd think that even though I was a child, they would be a little bit more calm, a little bit more warmly. They were not. They were trying to go after me as an uncredible witness to make it seem like my dad's side of the family had basically tainted me and my memory over the past 2 years, and that whatever I said wasn't credible. Their whole defense at first was that she was like basically insane so that she wouldn't get any time served in prison. Mind you, this whole time in the past 2 years, she's on house arrest. So she's not actually like incarcerated. So this was going to be the whole deciding factor. This trial meant everything. This trial was going to dictate if she was going to prison, when she was going to prison, what she was going to be charged for, and then how long she would be incarcerated for, if even at all. So this was a big deal. And so the defense having the insanity plea and then trying to paint me as a non-credible witness was very intimidating. But I stuck my ground. And if you know me, you know that I am, like I said, stubborn, outgoing, and I'm really to my guns. And so he would ask questions like, did your mother care for you? And so I would say, well, care for me in the way that she loved me, or care for me as in take care of me, because those are two separate things. Probably didn't say it as good as that, but at the time it felt like I did. I feel like he was trying to trip me up, and I have always been emotionally intelligent. I mean, I was parentified. I had to grow up really fast, and my way of coping was excelling in school. So I knew these little tactics that he was trying to do was trying to trip me up, and I was not gonna let him. So I was like, no, she didn't actively care for me. I was having to care for myself. Did she care about me? Yes, I believe my mom cared about me. And the whole time I was testifying, I was just trying to look at my brother. I like locked eyes with him, and I was just trying to like look at him, look at my grandmother, and know I was going to be okay. While simultaneously, out of the corner of my eye, my mom trying to go like this so that she could see me or so that I could get a look at her past the little recorder or the person who was recording, typing everything. What are those people called? I felt anxious with every shift. Every time she tried to make that eye contact, every time she tried to get a glance at me, felt like shivers. It sent shivers down my spine. I was done testifying. I got up. I was escorted out. I got to meet up with my brother and my grandmother. And as we're walking out, there's a glass wall. And as we're walking this way, my mother in cuffs is walking back this way. And she's trying to look at me, trying to give me a sign or give me a something. My brother noticed before I did, so he actually pulled me to the side and was kind of like my shield so that she couldn't get in contact with me. Comment and like if you guys want a next part where I basically talk about what happened post-trial, waiting for the sentencing, and then her prison sentence after that.
It was really upsetting to hear that she was dismissed and treated like an attention seeker when she finally felt comfortable enough to speak out about what happened to her. Seeing her mom again for the first time must have been truly horrifying, and I'm glad she stayed honest and outspoken even as a child. It takes a lot of strength. Having her brother and grandmother there for her support seems like it really helped her get through it.
So let's get right into it.
Yes, I need somebody. My father and I just took a lot of pills.
Who took the pills?
My daughter and I.
You both took a lot of pills?
Yeah.
Deliberately?
Like over 50.
What kind of pills were they?
Hydrocodone,
Hydrocodone.
Adderall, clorazepam, and
Okay, how old's your daughter?
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. A lot of people who have been flooding the comments about medicine that I was taking. They only had this little bit of information from the 911 call, and there was a mix of opiates and of benzodiazepines. So I know a lot of people are really confused about that. Like, why did they give you Narcan, whatever. Didn't really know at this time all that there was. They knew that there was a mix. So obviously they just did whatever they could. Still, even in the court reports or the court documents, they guessed 50 to 100. They didn't know exactly. Okay, we'll keep listening.
10.
She took them as well?
Also, she just said that I'm 10.
Yeah.
And how old are you?
41.
21?
41.
41. Did you guys take these deliberately?
Yeah, we did.
Were you trying to commit?
Yeah.
This is another part of the story that gets a little tricky. And I just kind of want to talk a little bit about that because a lot of people are wondering, just do this to you? Was she trying to do this to herself? So the narrative was that she also took the medicine and was going to do this to herself as well. Clearly, she is under the influence. Clearly, you can tell that she's not fully in her right mind. However, what's difficult for me, she was taking a large amount of medication every single day anyway. And so her body had built up this tolerance. That's what happens in addiction anyway. So they just need more and more and more and more. So if she took the same amount of medication that she had typically been taking, and she took some, which we don't know how many she took or had in her drink. We know I had at least 50 plus, 50 to 100-year-old versus her. Also, I was able to walk out of the house. I was taken out on a stretcher. In the next part, I will show all the photos from the crime scene. I was taken out and life flighted to the Children's Hospital and was in a coma. So she walked out of the house. She was completely fine, just extremely high. So that's the part that really messes with her defense, I think, of the, I was trying to do it to myself too, because also I will share the last will and testament that she wrote, basically of where to spread our ashes, etc. Did not take enough. She did not have to get a reversal. She did not have to get anything. She was okay there. This was all very premeditated as well. So that's another part of the defense that was really hard to negate, is this wasn't just a flip of the switch. And you'll hear later in the 911 call that she does say that she snapped the flip of the switch. This was very methodical. This was thought out. She did write this letter, I was going to do this. So in the trial, there was a lot of proof of premeditation and the fact this wasn't just like an insanity plea. This didn't just happen. It was a lot of thought. Let's keep going.
Okay.
I can't move my body right now, but I'm really scared for her.
Okay, is she able to talk to you? Is she conscious?
No.
She's not conscious?
No.
Where is she now?
She's in bed with me.
Okay, and is she there with you right now? Can you see her?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to get the paramedics on the way over there. I'll be right back with you. Don't hang up, okay?
Okay, would you wait? My front door, I can't move my body, so my front door is locked,
Your front door is locked?
but my back door is not.
The back door is open, okay. Okay, I'll be right back with you. Don't hang up, okay?
Okay.
Also, another part of this is she's able to still coherently tell them these things. She's still able to say, my front door is locked, to go through the back door. Obviously, she had taken a lot of medication, but she was still able to say this.
13 West 14th, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've listened to this a few times, so it's just every time I listen, I don't know, I just get kind of more critical or more, just think of things deeper.
We've dispatched the paramedics, okay? Now, until they get there, if I can keep you on the phone, that'd be great. Can you, is there anybody else there in the house with you?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, well, how long ago did your daughter take those pills?
We both took them about, what time is it right now?
It's 2:05, right? 2:06 right now.
At 10:30.
At 10:30? Okay. How long has she been unconscious?
Well, she just went to sleep, so I checked her heart and her breathing, and she's...
What she said is she went to sleep, but I checked her heart and her breathing. Some of this is kind of hard to understand.
Still doing that.
She's still breathing?
Yeah.
Oh, hydrocodone. 4 different kinds of medication she's in.
He's saying she took 4 different types of medication. He's talking to somebody
All right.
else.
Can you get the phone? The phone is near her, right? You're right near. You're near your daughter right now. She's right there with you. Would you do me a favor and make sure she's still breathing?
Yeah, I just checked it 2 minutes ago.
Okay. Is she on a bed or on the floor or a chair? Where is she?
On the bed.
On the bed. Okay. Would you tilt her head back, please? Is she lay her on her back?
Yeah.
Says she. Good. Okay. Is she on her back now?
Yeah.
Can you tilt her head back for me, please?
What do you mean?
Tilt her head back so her airway is open. Can you do that for me, please?
Yeah.
Okay, she is still breathing.
I
Okay.
can't move.
You can't move?
I can't move.
Can't breathe. I'll have you put on something else. I can't.
He's retelling somebody else the type of
I
medicine.
just dissolved them in some juice for her and
She just said, I just dissolved them in some juice for her.
gave them to her. She was cut back from her nuts tonight and he's really abusive and everything and I just snapped.
She said, I put them in a drink, I dissolved them. She doesn't know she took them. She just got back from her dad's house.
No part of me believes that her mother no longer wanted to be with us. I think that she wanted to take her daughter's life and was hoping that she could seem as if she was mentally unstable and end up in a psych ward. I believe that she was jealous of her daughter, especially with her being an outspoken, capable, healthy young girl with her whole life ahead of her. She still had ties to her ex, and it was through the children. She came off so nonchalant, and it was very unsettling. I believe that her mother is a sociopath.
I just snapped and I don't control myself.
This house in the alley.
She said, I couldn't control myself.
No. I'm afraid.
Okay.
Back emotionally. Come on.
Rhonda, what color? Is this Rhonda?
Yeah.
What color is your house?
It's gray.
Gray? Okay.
With blue trim.
With blue trim.
Yeah.
613 West 14th.
Yeah.
Okay, I have officers there now. We're going to try to get you some help, Rhonda. Stay on the phone with me, okay?
I don't know if I can.
Well, if you can, please do that. Are you on the bed as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you sitting down? Laying down?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, stay with me.
She doesn't know that she took them because I just took dissolved them and popped.
She doesn't know how many she took? Or you?
She doesn't know she took them.
Oh, she doesn't know she took them. Did you put them in something and she took them that way?
Right here. Right now. Right here. She has her hair right now.
There's some officers there now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let you go then.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
I've listened to the 911 call a handful of times. And sometimes it doesn't get to me. But I've been trying really consciously to put myself in that little girl because it's so easy to disassociate from her. And telling my story like this to all of you guys, it has been really healing in the way of forcing myself to go back to her. I shared this in another video where I view my story up here, like I'm just watching a movie and I can see all of the scenes, disassociating, removing myself, and that was a survival mechanism, removing myself from her. I'm even saying her, but I am her, and I was her. I was that 10-year-old little girl. And so sometimes I listen to it and I don't feel anything, and I think that's part of the disassociation. It forces me to go back. I actually do a green screen of the crime scene photos. So if that is something that is triggering to you or something that might be a little bit too hard for you to watch, just you stop watching. And but if it's something that you're interested in seeing, keep watching along. Okay, so this was the house that we were renting at the time. I'm not exactly sure if like one of the paramedics had it or what, but these are the official crime scene photos. Obviously, this was 2006. They had nothing fancy, so some of these are very blurred. If this might be triggering for you, just pass along and wait until my next series, or if you haven't seen anything, go back to my other ones. This is when you first walk in. This is our living room, and this was like our dining room area right there. That's the last will and testament is what she titled it. It was basically a document that stated where to put our ashes, where to cremate me, where our stuff was going to go. I remind everyone that the series part before this is very helpful because I kind of explain how she did say she was trying to take her own life, but there was significant evidence to show that she didn't take nearly enough to end her life, and there wasn't enough as me. So I can go further into like what I really feel about that, and I don't believe she was trying to take her own life. I don't think she took enough, and I think she realized what she had done and then called 911. Nonetheless, yeah, that's what that is. These are all the medication bottles that were on the kitchen table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they were all empty. Another photo of that, it's very blurry, but this was all the medication. This was a picture. This was also in our kitchen. This is where she was typing her letter. Right here is the opening hallway where I walked in and was checking on her, and then the pills were over this way. There's another copy of it. She printed several copies of the same last will and testament letter and left them different places around the house. I think this is a little less blurry of it. You can see things were very messy and chaotic. Our house was always very, very cluttered, chaotic, messy. Okay, this is where it becomes a little bit more difficult to watch or look at. This is us. And yeah, I'm really confused, I guess, because usually I used to sleep on the inside. But I wasn't there. Maybe I just didn't make it. I mean, that's where I took the medicine, so it would be natural that before my head hit the pillow that I couldn't move. I'm not exactly sure what they're doing here with elevating my leg, but this is another angle of it. You can see my arm was so red and swollen. It's almost like it was, I don't know, losing blood flow or something. Entire arm was like that. Also, I don't know why she was acting like she was sleeping because she was just on the phone. These are more pictures of me. There's my jammies. This is as they were taking me out on the stretcher into the ambulance. These next ones are a little bit hard. As you can see, my hand really red, really swollen, and I had white stuff coming out of my mouth. Here's another one of them getting me out of the kitchen. I'm completely pale. I have no life. It doesn't even look like I'm there. They're holding my arms. I don't think I had any control over my arms or anything like that. And then just another one of, again, the last will and testament, which I do have, and I will add in the next part. I'll actually read that. There's some parts that I do leave out just for protection against other family members that I care about that I don't want to talk about. I'll read the majority of it. After seeing these photos, I think I saw them for the first time 2 years ago. I've seen these a handful of times. And like I said, it's just really hard to put myself back in there and really connect that was me. Something I'm still working through, and I think sharing this with you guys has been really helpful. Honestly, like, it makes everything more real. It used to almost feel like just a story to me. This is what happened to me.
First of all, her mother pretending to be asleep once the paramedics showed up was very performative and gave narcissistic vibes to me. Can someone explain to me how you can snap and crush pills, dissolve them in juice, go through all of that so deliberately? It doesn't read as random or impulsive. You could argue being overwhelmed or emotionally flooded, but the process itself feels very slow and methodical, and that's what makes it so unsettling. That's all for today's Dolly Mail. Stay cute, roomies.